flexibility script. This video is going to be going into some really great shoulder rotator cuff strengthening exercises that can be done with a mini band. I'm using Perform Better is the brand of the mini band. There's a bunch of different companies out there who make mini bands, and if you don't have one, something like a sports bra that has that little elastic that has a bit of resistance to it can be used as a substitute. Or a TheraBand that you can tie a little knot can also be used. We're going to be doing a couple of exercises with the band. The first set of exercises involved 5-second holds, and there's 3 different positions that you're going to be going into, each holding 5 seconds. Main thing with this is that we want to make sure that you can feel like screwing your feet into the ground or maintaining a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt and the rib cage down to make sure that all the work is really coming from the shoulders and not your back trying to compensate for your shoulders. The band is going to be going into a position where it's right below the base of the wrist here. First position, I'm going to be screwing my feet into the ground, shoulders going to be down. I'm going to be about a 90 degree. My goal is going to be to push out into the band and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that tension, and we're going to just fully straighten our arms. Hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Position 3 is going to tear that band apart, and then work on squeezing the tips of my shoulder blades together for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I relax. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to repeat 3 to 5 times through that series. Position 1, push out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Position 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Position 3, thumbs kind of lead the way back and I pull back, hold 5, 4, rib cage down, 2, 1, and relax. Again. Shoulders away from the ears. Want to make sure I externally rotate so that my elbows aren't actually leading the way. It's this position here. Again, push 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully straighten. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After you've done about 3 to 5 rounds of warming that tissue up with isometric holds, we're going to progress and go into a bit of what I call an overhead flow. So whenever you're going into overhead motion here, there's a strong tendency that as you're lifting your weight up overhead, that the elbow will sometimes want to do that as you're pushing up, and usually that dumps it all into that front of the shoulder, sometimes leading to like an impingement type of feeling here, because nothing in our upper back is doing the work that it ought to. So whenever we are driving up into an overhead position, in order to keep that rotator cuff doing its job, we want to make sure that the elbow stays tracking in, and you see how that little bit of external rotation is maintained as I'm coming up, and as I'm coming down, you'll also see how that changes the way my shoulder looks and appears, as opposed to if I start pressing up, start doing that, you notice how the shoulder creeps up, and it's a lot harder to kind of find a stable position, and then you're thinking shoulders down and back. It's really hard to do that. Well, if I maintain that external rotation, you're already in a nice position, and even the way that shoulder blade appears, if I do it incorrectly, you'll see what happens. And if I aim for the correct movement mechanic, you'll see how everything will track much better. So this exercise is really going to hone in on cleaning up that overhead movement and keeping the rotator cuffs doing their job to stabilize the shoulder. The band is actually going to be in the same exact position, and just like the first exercise, this has 3 parts to it. Each part we're just going to be pausing 1 second, and we're going to go 3 times through each one, anywhere from 3 to 5 times through. But I'm going to be coming, position 1 is going to be here, position 2 is going to be straightening my arms, position 3 is going to be up overhead, and I'm going to be coming back down in that little flowing manner, and then we're just going to do the same thing but 3 reps in reverse. So mini band goes on, shoulders away from the ear, same thing with maintaining a little tuck under, and that rib cage down is going to happen here. I push out, pause, straighten my arms, pause. Now from here, keep pushing out into the band as I come up overhead. Really important to keep that glute squeeze and rib cage down. From here, I'm slowly gonna lower, while noticing that my elbows never flare out. Come all the way down, straighten, right back up overhead, glute squeeze, rib cage down as I lower. Really fight to keep pushing out into the band and keeping the elbows in. Again, right back up overhead, keep pushing out into the band, elbows track in. You can relax, and then we're just going to reverse that. So I'm going to be turning to the side for a side view or a little corner view here. I'm going to be pushing out. From here, I'm going to be bringing it up overhead, glute squeeze, rib cage down, come down, and then again up, push out into the band, lower down. From the forward view, I'm here. I'm going to push out into the band to come up overhead and back down. I'm going to go one more. Keep pushing out into the band. Notice my elbows staying in all the way up, lower down, and bend, and done. Now that was exercise number 2, that overhead flow 3 times each way. Exercise number 3 is a little bonus depending on how juicy your shoulders are feeling, and it's just going into little pumps in different positions. Pumps meaning you're gonna be pushing out into the band, like a little in and out, in and out, in and out. Position 1 is gonna be right here. I'm gonna pump for about 10. Then I'm gonna straighten my arms, pump for about 10, and then I'm gonna come up overhead, pumping for about 10. And if I want a little bonus, come down, pump for about 10. And then done. And then that should be a nice little rotator cuff shoulder warm up to get you really going into any type of movement, especially upper body workouts that you have that really you're kind of turning on all those, not that they're not on, but you're really firing them up to get them used to working, to be able to stabilize you in things of like push-ups or pull-ups or pulling or pushing exercises or activities. So give it a whirl. Let me know how it goes. Enjoy.